welcome you to the digital airwaves of Stereophonic. I'm Dan Kimball. With this ongoing conversation series, we present the people, the personalities, and the perspectives of the modern music business through conversations with those in the spotlight and those behind the scenes. It's our objective to entertain and inform you as we reveal tips and tales from deep inside the music industry. She's been aptly described as a songwriter's songwriter. Maia Sharp writes, produces, and performs confessional songs that view life and love through an insightful lens of sincerity and candor. With songs recorded by artists like Bonnie Raitt, Lizz Wright, the Chicks, and Trisha Yearwood, Maia continues a string of solo projects with narratives that mirror her personal evolution. Her latest collection is titled Reckless Thoughts, and we'll hear some tracks in this conversation as we present Maia Sharp as our guest on Stereophonic. It is a windy but beautiful day here in Los Angeles, California, as we welcome back to the San Fernando Valley a Valley girl, Maia Sharp, who's now living in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, so great to see you again. And, you know, it's so interesting to think about you in Nashville. I mean, I know you have spent, obviously, a great deal of time in Nashville prior to living there, but when people come back from Nashville, what they talk to me about is the sense of community, and I think that's probably a big deal, huh?
Absolutely. I've been going there to write anywhere from like 3 to 6 times a year for a good 20 years or so, and I was anxious and a little worried about seeing how it would translate from the situation of being the traveler who is there for like a week at a time to somebody who's there all the time, And so far, that sense of a community has absolutely held and grown like faster than I think I was ever able to do it here. And I don't know that that's as much about the town as it is about like I made a conscious choice, like I'm going to have to get my introverted ass out there and meet people. I have to see what kind of a life I can have here. So I meet people probably every day that I leave my house in Nashville, which is pretty much every day. And, it leads to new writing relationships, possible production work, and everybody seems to want to help everybody out. Like if I meet somebody that I really love to work with, I take the first chance to introduce them to somebody else that I really love to work with, and my friends all seem to be doing that also, and so it's just growing and growing.
So there's a feeling there like you're almost like you're on a college campus. You can go to certain restaurants, and everywhere you look within that restaurant, everybody is in the music business in some way.
Oh yeah. Including the bartender and the waitstaff, and art and just music and all kinds of art are just everywhere there, and it's all styles. Also, it isn't. It's nowhere near only being, a country music place anymore. I'm not even sure if it ever was, but I think now everybody knows it now. It's Americana and rock and folk and all things.
The song is very important in Nashville. I just think of sometimes, Nashville being a song town, Los Angeles being more of a project kind of town. So sometimes it's songs in service of projects, whereas Nashville, sometimes songwriters are almost like screenwriters are here. I read a 1-page story about the musical The Color Purple, the filmed version of that musical today in the Los Angeles Times, and there was not one single word in that article that related to the songwriters or to the songs.
Wow.
And I was like, but anyhow, that's my thing. Songwriters and so many of the people that you work with, on Reckless Thoughts is, people that I've interviewed in the past, or
yes, I know.
people I want to interview in the future. And so one of the great things about having you here, we're going to be able to listen to some of the music as well.
All right.
Usually we
thank
can't
you.
do that, you know. So because you are an independent artist and you have your own destiny happening, so that lets us have this leeway. So it's going to be really fun to talk about the songs and get to hear the songs at the same time. She'll Let Herself Out starts up. It's a very upbeat intro to the record, and the key line is somebody you're depicting somebody who's in a cage of some type, and when she figures out that the lock's from the inside, she can let herself out. It's so interesting.
She'll let herself out. She'll let herself out. The gate to the cages that she's been living in. Now that she realized they're locked from the inside, she'll never be something she's not again.
I wanted to maintain the kind of casual, thrown off feeling of she'll let herself out. Like, it's okay. You don't have to show her out. You don't have to get up. She's fine. Just in that kind of, off the cuff way. But also somewhere in the song, maybe halfway-ish or later, I wanted it to have that, oh, wait a minute. It's not just the off the cuff. It's something that maybe she didn't even know that she was dealing with, and she didn't know that she had the power to let herself out. I wanted to bring the idea and my plan for it to somebody that I knew could kind of ride that line. And have you ever interviewed my co-writer there, Dean Fields?
I have not.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, wonderful writer. We'd written a few times. Actually, Mindy Smith introduced us because the two of them have been writing for years. And so I brought it to him, and he pounced on it, and we rode that line as long as we could, make it sound just sort of like a shrug until all of a sudden it's a baseball bat.
Old Dreams, it's very interesting when you have the image. You have an image. I built that city when the ground was still shifting. So it's almost like it's like a California thing. It makes me think of like an earthquake. But the firmament needed. It was like an identity that you create earlier in your life that maybe doesn't fit you at a certain time. A new suit of clothes as it is.
Yes.
Into my skin, and I'm never going back again. I'm tired of those old dreams. I'm not even dreaming anymore. That was the old me. She didn't know what she was living for. I built that city when the ground was still shifting. It's time to say goodbye to something I ain't missing.
This one has a lot of layers, all of which are true. And I wrote it with a Californian who you have interviewed, right? Garrison Starr.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it was at the end of the day, we had just both been writing with other people, thought that we were just kind of winding down on, about half a glass in, and started a conversation about making sure that we don't react to situations in a default way. Like, am I reacting to this thing that just happened to me because I'm used to wanting it? I'm used to needing this thing. Even if I set up a paradigm for wanting this and for considering that thing a mark of success, even if I set that up when I started down this road, I created a template for what I think success looks like in my, early 20s. And even now, at 52, usually I can look at it like the experienced, hopefully wiser human that I am at 52. But every now and then, the 22-year-old reacts. And she's the same way. And so we were having a discussion about a couple things that had come up that we were reacting in ways that were not necessarily reflecting our current experience. That's probably a longer explanation. It's always kind of hard to totally articulate all of the layers of that song because we talked a lot about it. And about an hour into our conversation, she, as always, was the one that's like, okay, dude, we have to go write this song now. And it's like 9:00 at night. And I was like, I thought we were done. This isn't work. This is our wine time. This isn't more work time. But then we did it, and it's like my favorite one. Also, it serves as a reminder to myself and to ourselves, like that if you let your new dream reflect your experience, everything is going to feel so much better. You're actually achieving the thing that you really want now. I don't want the same things that I wanted in my 20s. Why would I? I didn't know what to want. How could I have known? I was told what success was supposed to look like. That's not even really, now that I know myself more and I've seen a lot more things, 30 years worth of stuff, I know now what I really want. And that's actually happening. So to mourn for something that a child version of you wanted, it's a waste of time, and it's just a weight, and totally unnecessary thing to drag around. And so this song is really helpful to remind me to like, just what are you doing? You don't want that anymore. That was a kid's thing. You don't want that.
As an artist, you came up through the label system. You were very famously first signed to IRS Records by Miles Copeland, correct?
Except for the famously part. I don't remember that, but yeah. But yes, I was signed to Miles Copeland.
Right, who we know managed the Police and did you don't remember that famously part, but you were signed, and then you signed to various labels. You're an independent artist now, which gives you a certain amount of control, and I think that really, it's a different world now. So indie artists are really a huge part of the equation. And you were pretty early on to that thing, so that's great.
Yeah. All of my signings were to like mid-level or smaller labels. I think I always had a little more creative control than maybe I would have if I was signed to a larger label. And I learned so much, and I gained so many relationships that I still have now through all of those signings. I don't know. It's kind of a dubious honor to say that I was signed to 5 different labels through the years and 3 publishing deals. But all of them brought relationships that led to other things, either to the next thing, to the next signing, or to just people that I still work with and love, and we all support each other. Now that I'm my own label, I'm my own publisher for now. Although, now that I'm in Nashville, I might see about maybe doing something else out there. But I don't know. The indie life is pretty sweet.
Sweet. Your songs are specific to you and to your experience, and we talk about that, but we can imprint ourselves on all the stories that you tell. We all have cages that we've been in. I mean, we all have dreams that we suddenly are not valid to us as we go on. We all have bad days, and we all have good days. On a good day. There you have it. Third person. You're speaking in the third person here. On a good day.
Yeah.
She. So I find that very interesting. Who's your co-writer on?
On a Good Day?
Yeah.
Kim
It
Ritchie.
is Kim Ritchie. That's what I thought. It was Kim Ritchie. Yeah.
It's harder not to bring you up in conversation. All the ways you still exhaust her, moving steady, slow rotation. They come to visit and spend the night, throw shadows in the candlelight. says I can't complain, it's a good day.
Yeah, she showed up with a piece of verse music that was very cyclical. It sounded like a rotation of something. It sounded like, okay, something's oscillating. What can we oscillate to and fro? And it was, we landed on this, like, and yes, as you said earlier too, I talk about the true things, and more than I ever have. Since I moved to Nashville, I made this album and one album before that came out in 2021, Mercy Rising. These two albums, to me, are a shift from how I thought about writing and what I chose for my albums in the past. I'm much more loyal to the truth now. So these songs all have more, if not 100%, like that's how it happened, or that's how it's happening, more of the truth in them. And that one is definitely a reflection of that first probably 2 years after I moved to Nashville. I had moved out of my home state. I was born and raised here. California it's still in my blood for sure. No, I never thought I was going to leave this place, and I did. I never thought I was going to not be married, and that ended, and after 21 years. So there was a lot of new starts and a lot of kind of, okay, maybe it's time to think about things in a different way. And so that first year or two, there was a lot of like, okay, I have this. I'm feeling strong and independent. I'm going to rock this. And then a day later it's like, I'm a fraud and I'm sad and I need more wine. And then the day after that is like, oh no, this is the most, confident that I've ever felt. And it just was hard. It was like extreme left and right, So as soon as she played that A minor, C, G, B, it's like, it's going around in a circle. It's definitely back and forth from something. Like, well, here's a back and forth that I can speak about extensively.
On a good day. Love it. You mentioned California. That was my original favorite track. One of the things that it almost sounds like alternative tuning, which I'm not sure if it is.
I think it's just drop D. I think that's the only thing.
Okay.
I'm just using some voicings that are kind of incorporating all of the extensions. There's a lot of like add 9, add 6 going on.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I'm hearing for all you music nerds out there. Talk about math rock, Okay.
Math rock,
yeah. Oh, that was this. One of the things that struck me about the song after listening to it 10,000 times was, just struck me last night, is you address California as you. You speak to California as if it's a person.
Yeah.
You were always good to me. You know what I mean? And it was always good to me. You don't, because you're speaking directly to it. If California was a person, what would California look like?
She'd be hot. Well, yeah, that one, because I love it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like an it. She feels like a soul,
California, you were always good to me. I never thought that I would leave you, California. A winter storm that nobody predicted. Reckless thoughts and broken hearts collide. I found some other part of me, and I could only see it from the other side.
I realized about halfway through, every word of that song could also be to my ex-wife.
Oh, interesting.
Because the leaving was something like I never imagined that I was going to do this. And so leaving her, somebody that I love a lot. And thank God we are still very close friends. I don't know. There's a lot of things I would not have the strength to do and focus on, I think, if we weren't. We were 21 years together, knew each other for like 23. And we're talking about ages like 25 to 48. I mean, those are some growing up years. And like that person who knows you that well for those years might know you better than anybody. So to just throw that out would have just been awful. So the language is to her and also to this place. And I landed yesterday afternoon and there's a smell, there's something in the breeze, and the breeze is really rocking around now too. So it's just like kicking up everything. Driving through the valley. I was a valley girl. I went to North Hollywood High and Walter Reed, and yeah, it's definitely a you. It's not an it.
I love it. Kind. Mm-hmm. Oh, talk about accessibility and likability in a song. You cannot listen to that song and dislike it or dislike anybody. I think that song should like replace like certain pharmaceuticals in terms of upping people's moods, you know.
Oh, I love that.
You don't need to take this Xanax surge. Just listen to this song and you're going to feel better.
You can part your hair like a palm tree, have your meat and 3 or your chickpeas, get yourself stung saving honeybees, call who you call when you fall on your knees. My kind of people are kind people, my kind of people are kind. If you got a good heart, that's a good start. If you wanna be a friend of mine, rich or broke, drink or smoke, to me it's all Pepsi, Coke, whatever floats your boat is fine. My kind of people are kind people, my kind of people are kind.
I feel better every time I listen to it. And I particularly like the allusion to parting your hair like a palm tree. Because in this wind today, I think my hair looks like a yucca. But Mindy's one of the writers on that. And, you know, I don't really necessarily think of Mindy as writing on the lighter side of things, you know?
I don't often go there either. Dean Fields and Mindy and I wrote that one. And I think he brought in my kind of people are kind. I think he brought in that line. And it's interesting because our conversation started, so this was 2019. The administration at the time was not particularly kind. And we started the conversation about that. Like, what the hell happened to just like basic human kindness? Like, people are unapologetically being unkind to strangers. And that's okay now? It's not okay. And so our conversation started there, and our lyrics started to reflect, kind of a negative, kind of a fist in the air, kind of, we have to stop this. And then we got a few lines in, we're like, I don't think this is what people need to hear. And this is not even what any of us want to sing from a stage. Like, what's the flip side of this? And that's the people that we do want to hang out with. What are the criteria for that? What's really important? And then that led to listing things that don't matter at all, so we can get to the chorus, which is the only thing that really matters. And I'm not saying that the chorus in a song is the only thing that really matters. I want to make sure for all of the songwriters out there, that's not the only thing that really matters. But the list of things like, your hair looks like a palm tree, and mine is wild as hell. Like, no amount of product can tame my hair. I just finally gave up. I don't even care. And then, you can drive your Maserati in the slow lane, 27 letters in your last name. Like, it does, none of it matter. Jalapeno peppers in your ice cream.
I love that.
Who cares? That's fun. Okay, great. We talked about the obvious ones, like, it doesn't matter, the color of your skin, who you love, who you pray to or not.
Right.
So how do we get that sentiment across without coming right out and saying those things? And so we had some fun looking for examples of ways to say, you don't have to be like me. Yeah. You can be completely different than me. You can be things I've never even thought of being. And I love you anyway, if you're kind.
You get the sax out of the case. You play sax.
Yeah, I dusted her off.
And when I heard that, I heard it before I read about it. And I'm like, wow, that's Maia. I know that's Maia playing the sax on Too Far Now. Right?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Far to turn around, and I don't feel lost, but I'm sure as hell not found. What I defend, what I deny, as long as I keep going, till I've gone too far to turn around.
The bridge in that song is like a tidal wave. That was one of my notes. It really does what a bridge is supposed to do, which changes the song, or, does a transference of kind of song power within it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and thank you for knowing that. Of course you do, but like... Only write a bridge if it's going to add something to the song, shift the thinking. Yeah, we definitely wanted to have that be the kind of highest point of the song, right?
Did you ever consider doing a song, an instrumental with just the sax?
Interesting. I have not, but I'm probably going to look at that whole album at the beginning of the year, like what other incarnations of it. Like on my last album, Mercy Rising, I did a full acoustic version of it.
Nice.
Only offer that to my Patreon folks so far, but I'll probably do another acoustic version. And you're right, having the instrumental version, especially that song where there's already a sax vibe to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the chord structure was like just jazz adjacent enough where it felt like it could hold up a saxophone.
Nice. We talk about great songwriters. I have, been privy to interviews with just incredible songwriters. The one songwriter in my life that I never got to interview, and I would not be able to do now, is John Prine. Mm-hmm. And I know he's a point of reference. His conversational lyrics and Gone Crying kind of references that sort of energy. And also, I made a note on Gone Crying. There's a Wichita lineman guitar solo, guitar sound on there.
Oh. I will tell my guitar player, Joshua Grange. He's wonderful. He played with Sheryl Crow and Katie Lang, Lucinda Williams.
He plays steel too, right?
He plays, anything with strings, he'll play the hell out of it.
Yeah, but Gone Crying is sort of like Gone Fishing, or again, more sort of like an offhand phrase, which seems deceptively light, but actually has a lot more intention.
Some people go fishing, some people go driving, some gaze at the stars in the night. It's a private decision, your way of surviving. Have you ever gone crying to get right? Have you ever gone crying to get right? Some people start drinking, some people stop living, and shelter their heart from the light. When you feel like you're sinking, there's a long lost tradition. Have you ever gone crying to get right? When I'm lonely in the shadow of the clouds gathering around, the storm breaks and I know by now, just let it rain down, let it rain down.
I read the 2 words and I was like, okay, like on a little wooden sign on like hanging in the window of a store, and it gets flipped over and that's what it says.
Yeah.
And that's the idea that I brought to my friend Elizabeth Elkins. This was in 2020, and I usually don't remember when I write a song, but this one we know because John Prine had just passed away. So this is April of 2020. I was freshly over my COVID battle from hell, where I was like pneumonia on the couch for a month or so. It was nasty, but obviously a lot of people had it worse. And we lost him in April, and I hadn't really been inspired to write anything. I was like putting some notes in my phone really, but didn't really have a voice yet. And it was just, I don't have to tell anybody. It was a rough time. Like, what's next? And is this a temporary horror, or is it kind of just how it is now? I canceled about 6 months worth of tour dates, and some of my friends got just annihilated with that. Like, all of them are gone. Anyway, so Elizabeth and I thought we'd try this new Zoom thing.
Yeah.
It was the first time either of us had written over Zoom. And as many co-writing sessions start, it was like, hey, how are you? And, we were answering honestly. And we're not awesome. Like, we're kind of sad and kind of like, it doesn't help that every Instagram post is about like all of the bread that's, somebody baked and their new sourdough recipe and the raised bed garden and like how productive everybody's being. And we're both just like, have not figured out how to move forward, and just kind of want to dig in and try to write something, and also letting ourselves off the hook, 1, for feeling sad, and 2, for if we don't finish anything, if we get a verse, if we just get a chorus, if we just get a piece of music, all of that is fine. So I brought this idea, and we talked about it being, a Prine-esque kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we wrote it. After the conversation, I think we wrote it in one sitting via Zoom because we were both so feeling that. Yeah. I really enjoy playing that one. Harmonically, it's very simple. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I get to just kind of focus on the feeling of that one.
Playful. I said fallen angels, playful. That was my note on that, It's kind of sly, kind of lascivious, relating to the fact that maybe you see somebody, shall we say, attractive, Interesting thing about Tennessee in general is the women are devastatingly beautiful in Tennessee, but the men are not.
I really want to know what word you were going to use.
Schlubby?
Troll? I'm wondering where you were going.
The women that I see there are sometimes incredibly statuesque.
They are, yes.
So, fallen angel, but you were never an angel at all. So that's kind of the image, too, is what is an angel to you?
Yeah, and also why do you want to be that?
Yeah, right.
For you to calm down. Ourselves every now and then. We taste some higher air and call it born again and again. She said, honey, don't fall for this fallen angel. I said, don't tell me what to do. If I want to drop to my knees all faithful, well, it's really not up to you. Besides you with a halo.
It's way more hot if you have your feet on the ground, if you are earthy and let yourself be real and, a little broken, and like that's yes, that's the person I'm more interested in than the one that thinks she has wings, you know.
The perfection is not interesting, really.
It's not
That's
at
right.
all.
I agree with
No. Which goes back, that's kind of an old dreams thing. It's like, really? You realize along the way, like, perfect, first of all, doesn't exist.
No.
And so whatever fabricated version of that you think you might be or you think you're reaching for, it's not as interesting. It's not a rich life, you know?
I got it. Yes. Everything you need. My note says horn, ? What is why did I put horn ? Around that song?
I'm trying to think back. There's a couple of baritone electrics. There might be 3 baritone electrics. That's the approach I wanted to take on that one.
Oh, okay.
And then there's some just kind of mellotron,
That might be it.
chimey fairies up.
That's,
all
yeah.
around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I need fighting, you fight me. Some things are worth a war when you know what you're fighting for. And you don't ever remind me when I say too much, get to me, slam a couple doors. I wanna be the one celebrating, way too busy appreciating, so caught up in the world.
I just went in and had some fun with that, just looking for, you know, kind of soundscape sound.
You track and then you take things home and then you embellish them. Is that correct? Is that how it works?
Well, I tracked at Josh's. I tracked drums, bass, and electrics there, and I take all of that back to my cave.
Yeah.
And then I'm in there for all of the kind of vocals and keys and acoustics, piano. That song, though, never was at Josh's because I just did it.
Oh.
That one doesn't have the drums. It doesn't have the... And I don't think... I forget if Josh played. He might have done a keyboard thing on that, actually. So I did all the guitars on that. That might have been the only time that happened.
You produce your own vocals? Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I want the time and space and... You know, the darkness and the chance to come back, and I don't want to clock.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I've done that; it's fine. But there's something else that I can find when I'm kind of alone and
More power to you.
do that, yeah.
It's very. I can't do it. I can't do a voice. I can't produce a voiceover.
Well,
I myself, I just get really neurotic. I'm like, I can do it better. I can do it better. I can do it better.
I didn't say I don't get neurotic. Just that
You're a songwriter. They're not neurotic.
But I'm less and less so. Like that's another thing that has shifted for sure. I'm more likely to just like, oh, that third one sounds real, instead of, you know, that 13th one is more right on the pitch and right on the this or right on the that. Like, no, the third one sounds like it might reach humans.
Back again to like what is human and what is angelic and things that are perfect. Well, you know, you've addressed that in song before. You know.
You're right. I have.
Wow, you're getting so wise here.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm always en route for sure.
The Road to Hell and Back. Now, it sonically has different elements too. There's something almost like a chorus of voices, and I don't know.
There's exactly that.
Yeah.
I asked 3 friends to come and sing those. The song is about a chorus of voices singing, and so I didn't want it to just be a bunch of me's, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm living now in a city full of incredible singers, and so I called 3 of them in. Emily West, Shelley Fairchild, and Wendy Moten to come and sing their asses off on the song, and they did.
Yeah, it's texturally just very interesting. I had the feeling I could tell it wasn't samples. I could tell it was real voices. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So all of that's happening. So it's written as a part of a project where you work with veterans, songwriters. Yeah.
You're a choir with no savior to be found. You can cry or you can sing, but you can't fall down. Every time you wake up and walk out of that gate, you know all too well you're tempting fate.
This one was written actually, okay, where do I start? I've been writing for an organization called Songwriting with Soldiers for about 7 years now. And there's a couple incarnations of that. One of them is we do a weekend retreat where like 4 songwriters and 8 participants, usually veterans, first responders, law enforcement, show up to write like a Friday through Sunday. We're just writing songs. This particular retreat, it was 4 songwriters writing with combat photojournalists. And I was paired up with Maia Sharp, who's now the climate change photo editor for the Washington Post. I wanted to get that right. She's amazing. And we started talking, and I thought the song was going to be like about her experience. You know, usually the songs are like something that they want to get off of their shoulders, something that maybe they saw, something that they are feeling. She didn't want it to be from her perspective. She wanted to tell me a story that she had covered for years. And that was the Sudan humanitarian crisis. And so she was embedded in South Sudan for, I think it ended up being over a year. And she wanted to tell me what she saw there. And she saw the women rising before the sun every day, walking this road, looking for anything that they could find, usually like firewood or anything that the earth had to offer. And it was like getting harder and harder all the time. Anything that they could bring back for their families. Often on these walks, they weren't safe for them. So there was violence and awfulness that happened often too. So even in the framework of that, she would often see them and hear them getting together on the walk and singing. And she had the images of that. This is the only time where there is a photographic record of the thing that she is talking about. Unbelievable. In fact, if you go to amandawasard.com, you'll see some of these photos.
I like where it's placed in the project, that it's the last thing that you hear, because in some ways it is separate. It feels it's connected but separate from the project. So it's sort of like it's got a lot of emphasis on it, I think, being, if you listen to it in sequence. It's very interesting.
Well, thank you. And also, I put it there because it's also kind of a sign of a bigger thing that we talked about earlier, that I've been more loyal to the truth.
Love that.
And a big part of why I feel like that now and why I want to write like that now, it isn't just that I moved and that a lot of life happened and there was a lot more maybe that I wanted to write about and that I had to get, off of my shoulders. But writing for Songwriting with Soldiers has made me see how important sharing a true thing is. I'm in these rooms with them. I was just in one a couple days ago. I wrote with 10 veterans. And I had like 2.5 hours to hear whatever part of their story they want to share with me, to find a theme in the room and to make a song out of that. I get the privilege, first of all, of being in the rooms with these people who are just incredibly brave for showing up and for sharing this and for their service. But I get to see what sharing a true thing, the impact that has. It sounds like a simple thing, but it's not. It's a wallop. To see them sharing it and the weight lifted off of the person who's just saying this thing that has been weighing them down, to see the reactions of people who get to hear this hard, real thing that thought they were the only ones who felt that. And so many songs are like that for us too, right? Yeah. Like you hear a song, you're like, oh, somebody understands me.
Yeah.
And then to like be the lucky observer who is reawoken by this seemingly simple thing. And I am changed. Like everybody who is doing the work with this organization is changed. We all write in a different way for a different reason. And now like I need to tell true things whenever I write a song. And Fallen Angel is an example of me kind of pushing that to like, I'm going to write from the point of view of the person who is who I want to be. I have a song on my last album called Whatever We Are that is written from like the slightly more evolved version of me. Like if I were Zen me, what would she say? And to write from that place, it's amazing. I'm ashamed that I am like kind of just recently coming to this. How powerful words are. You act as if you fully encompass the person that you want to be, the place that you want to be. And damn if you don't get a little closer every time you say those words. And Fallen Angel is that. Just as you suspected, I was seriously attracted to somebody who was referring to herself as that, as like a fallen angel. I'm like, So we weren't actually the honey and the baby, but I put myself in that position of like, if we were, or when we are, this is what I would say. And it feels really good to occupy that space of the person I want to be.
Maya, our listeners here probably know that you and I have a great deal of history, and we've known each other for many, many years, and I've followed you as an artist and as a person, as a friend for all of those years. You've never been greater than you are in these moments. You know, the record is incredible.
Thank you so
much. And we
much.
thank you so much for being our guest on
Thank you.
Stereophonic. Thank you for listening to Stereophonic. Please follow us and rate us on your favorite listening platforms. Tune in for new shows and check out past episodes. Stereophonic is produced and mixed by Lindsay Tomasic. Our production director is Kim Strand. Our theme music is by Dadalite Mine. And I'm your host, Dan Kimbell.